Some of you students out there may be looking for a job, maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe you want to go for higher studies. Some of you are already in a job. Whatever path that each one of us select, life is always going to hammer you or break you in some way or the other. Life has got its own ups and downs, and this is natural. These are the external circumstances which will really happen. This is the time we need to apply the philosophy of kintsugi. Now, this beautiful philosophy coming from Japan, it's a 15th century art of mending the broken crockery through joining these cracks with lacquer with powdered gold. So the whole philosophy of kintsugi is it treats breakage and repair as a part of history of the part. And rather than disguising it and rather than covering it up. So we are what we are. If you really look at it, your experience, whatever you are today, is based on all the experience, whether the experience has been good, bad, ugly, whatever. But we are molded based on the situation that we go through. Okay? So it's very important for us not to really hide some of the things that have gone through, because that might have really helped us to transform and being a better human being over a period of time. Okay? You really can't change what happened to you. Okay? You have only two choices. Whether you want to come out of it wounded or whether you want to come out of it wise. These are the only two options. Whether you are going to learn from your experiences or you are actually always being wounded and always crying, why me, these kind of concepts, then it's not going to help you. Okay? During these difficult times, especially in COVID times, millions of people across the world have lost their jobs. There's just not a few here and there. Now, losing a job can not only be financially disturbing to everybody, it can also affect your mental health, it can also affect your emotional health. You might actually be angry at yourself, or you may be angry at your management, you may be angry at your boss or whatever. Because at some point of time, the job essentially, you start beginning to identify with the job. The job gives you a social structure, the job gives you a certain position in the society. When suddenly the job is taken away, you're kind of feeling totally lost out. Okay? So we fully understand what it is. The stress of losing a job is definitely there. Okay? Our jobs, as I said earlier, the more you identify with something, whether you want to identify with a nation, identify with a job, anytime that you lose something, it's going to really kind of affect you. Okay? Now, I would like to give you certain tips how to really manage with these broken situations that you are in. Okay, now definitely losing a job is kind of you may kind of be mentally defeated. You may be broken in some way or the other. Okay, so there are certain tips that you can go through. This is the time for us to really identify, get those broken pieces together, and we start to redefine what does the new wholeness mean. We presume that we were whole before we got broken. And once we break, we need to assemble those thoughts together and start looking at it and start redefining what wholeness means and trying to create something beautiful of what is the remaining life that we really have. So how do you cope with the job loss? First, allow yourself to grieve. Okay? Grief is a natural response to anything that you lose. Even our whole Indian way, when you lose a loved one, you are given a 13-day period to mourn. There are different things that you do on each day. But on the 13th day, you invite the whole community, throw a lavish lunch, and then you get move on to your life. That particular loved one has finished his journey, but it's your journey for you to continue. So grief, you have to grieve, but you have to shorten the grief time as much as really possible. Then you have to face the reality. You don't have a choice. You must understand that if the organization has let you off, the organization is trying to protect itself. The organization is trying to survive, revive, and thrive. So at some point of time, you are not fitting into the organization perspective. Some organization may be highly empathetic, may kind of talk to you into it, explain to you why they had to let go of you, and they may take care of your financial package in such a way that you are not really disturbed in a big way. Some other organization may just treat you as a skill set at a price tag. So if these skill sets are in great demand and there is low in supply, then the price tag will automatically go high. But if these skill sets are low in demand and more in supply, then the price tag is going to go down. At some point of time, they may realize that they're getting a better skill set at a lower price. And during these difficult times, I know, as my personal friend of mine is CEO of a multiplex chain in India, when the COVID-19 happened, they had to break down all the cinema halls. All the halls had to completely shut. There was no revenue out there, and he had to let go of so many people. At that point of time, he took some time to personally write to each and every person and say, this is not because of you, this is because of the situation. And I assure you that as and when things get better, we would always kind of welcome you back into the organization. So he has to really, if the organization does not survive, then what's the point? And you are going to kill a lot of other employees also within the organization as well. This is the time to reach out, and this is the time not to hide your feelings. This is the time to reach out to your network. This is the time to reach out to various people to tell them you are available. Because if your skill set may not be relevant to this organization today, your skill set may be relevant to some other organization, to somewhere else. So this is not the time to really hide yourself, go to a corner and start moaning and start getting defeated. Because at the end of the day, only when some negative thing happens to you, we kind of keep saying, why me? But when there are a lot of positive things happening to you, do you really question why me? Why should everything so good happen to me? No. You're always questioning that things are not happening my way. You are upset in some way because you believe things are happening not your way. But all the things in the world happen your way, then where do I go? Some things happen your way, something happens my way, something happens his way, something happens her way. That's the way the external situations are all about. And you need to really kind of accept that. So reach out to people, remain strong, because your skill set will definitely be needed somewhere in some part of the world. And today, the world has shrunk. The internet has really shrunk the world. And you are 100% sure that your skill set will be needed somewhere. Involve your family for support. It is very important for you to be very open and frank with your family. I've known a particular situation, a particular friend of mine never told his family that he got laid out. Every day morning, 9 a.m., he wears his suit, dresses up as if he's going to the college, goes to a park, sits somewhere and comes back to his home. Can you understand what kind of pressure, what kind of tension that goes through in his mind? Because he's always living in a false world. So this is a time to really be very open to your family, seek support, because at the end of the day, the family is your biggest support out there. And we all have to understand that we are actually doing a job to really support our family. But sometimes it ends up in a very different way. The family ends up supporting a job. So if you really look at the Maslow's theory of hierarchy, you have the basic needs, the physical need, the physiological need, emotional needs, your self-esteem needs, and then your self-actualization needs. You're going through this process, you're going through this journey. You're doing this job for some higher purpose in life. This job itself is not your highest purpose. Because at the end of the day, every job or every organization is a very, very professional one. As long as the organization is thriving, you're also thriving. When the organization is going down, the employees have to take a hit as well. So you need to ensure that you are selecting a job which is providing a platform for your higher purpose. And the day you feel the job is not providing you the platform, then you need to really think twice whether you need to really kind of work in the job. So you always have to have a higher purpose. You need to really move up the Maslow's theory of hierarchy, and you need to slowly, and today in this modern world, with these families having just 1 or 2 children, the first 3 needs are automatically met. You don't have to worry about your physical needs. You don't have to worry about psychological needs. You have enough love being given by your parents. You don't have to worry about your emotional needs. So directly you go to your self-esteem needs. So your parents say that I need to be better than this person. You need to get first rank. You need to do this. You're constantly in the competition world. And then you move out towards self-actualization is what is the purpose in life. So this is where is the difference between us and the animals or any other creature in this planet. When the stomach is full, the animal is happy because that's his highest goal of survival. Whereas in human, when the stomach is full, the problems start. What am I doing? What's my purpose? When I say stomach here, it could mean your finance, it could be in your home, it could be a job. So once you have everything, then you start thinking, what is it? What's my purpose? So the human being, there is something within you is always want to expand, always want to grow, always want to do something beyond. So this, you need to kind of understand that. So as and when, if you really look at the Darwin's theory of evolution, we had this marine life, then we had this amphibious life, then we had this reptiles, then we had this mammals. So as and when the vertebra became erect, because most of those animals, vertebrae were all, our vertebra, our spine was always horizontal. As and when the vertebra became erect, we had this development of the cerebral cortex. And that is where your thought process has actually come into play. This is where the humans have a huge amount of memory and huge amount of imagination, and this is the beauty of being human. Find other ways to define yourself. Don't just get defined only by the job. Do volunteering. So what is volunteering? Volunteering is living life willingly. So at a very high level, if something happens to you willingly, it's beautiful. Something happens to you unwillingly, it's a horrible thing. So you need to understand whatever you do, if you're doing willingly, it's always a joyful process. Get moving to relieve stress. This is the time for you to exercise. This is the time, you have 4 faculties with you: your body, your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, and your energy body. Look at these as 4 tires of your car. So each and every tire has to be solid on its own, but at the same time, if these 4 tires are running in a synchronous way, then you run through the life in the least amount of friction. So you run through life joyfully. This is a time. This is not the time to get into alcohol or drugs or whatever, because at the end of the day, that may provide a temporary solution because it lowers your faculty. When you lose your faculty, you're not really solving the problem. You're temporarily fixing something where you lose your awareness, and hence you don't think of some of these issues. Eat well. This is the time to eat well. Ensure that you're physically fit. Take care of yourself. Stay positive to ensure that you have this enough energy. Now, coming to this whole concept, these are various concepts of kintsugi that I was really talking about. How do you sit with your broken pieces together? How do you mend those breakage with those gold powdered dust and make this whole pot beautiful than what we are? I just want to question this concept itself. Why do you break in the first place? Why do you allow an external situations to break you in the first place? I just want to tell you today, I just want to ask you, where do you see me today? You may be pointing me in this direction. But in your school, you have been taught that light is falling on me, that is reflecting through your lens, your eye lens, into the retina. You have this inverted image, and then the brain kind of creates a correct image. So you see me within yourself. You hear me within yourself. Even if you come and touch me, you'll feel me within yourself. So at the end of the day, all the experiences that you have had today is always within yourself. Whether you're peaceful, joyful, miserable, ecstatic, agony, all these things are happening within yourself. And if you understand, these are all nothing but chemical reactions which are really happening. And you are the most sophisticated chemical factory in the world. Okay? So you are able to create these own chemicals within you. The worst type of slavery is if you're allowing some external person or an external situation to create these negative chemicals within you. So when you can create your own chemicals, why don't you ensure that you create your joyful chemical irrespective of the external situations? So you can only do that once when you're fully conscious. The problem is most of the time we are not fully conscious, we're compulsive in nature. When you're compulsive in nature, you always react to the circumstances and not respond to the circumstances. So my advice to you is increase your consciousness level. There is enough technology available out there, just like external engineering, where you engineer the components or the parts externally. You can engineer yourself internally to ensure that you create the right kind of chemical soup so that you're joyful throughout the time. So once you increase your level of consciousness, then you will never be broken. You don't have to apply the philosophy of kintsugi in your life because you're strong from day one, because you're not mortgaging your peace, your love, your joy, your compassion, your bliss and ecstasy to any external environment. So I would like to end by saying that please be more and more conscious. And at this point of time, I just want to thank all the teachers from whom I've learned, especially my guru, Sadhguru, and Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I just hope this talk was useful and valuable to each one of you. Thank you so much. Namaskaram.